Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. So, man, I'm really glad that Gay put me in contact with you. Over the break, I was asked to be a reader for the CLS applications.
Wow.
And so I spent a majority of my Thanksgiving break, reading through different, applications. And I was thinking, oh man, I wonder if any of our former students have done this, because this is like right up their alley. This is perfect. And then when Gay said that you did, I was like, wow, you must have been really impressive on your application, because I mean, there's so many qualified students, and I know they don't really select that many.
And they also don't select too many community college students. So, I mean, the best thing about it is that, I didn't even know community college students got accepted. And so when I went, there was none. That I was the only community college student in the whole group. And so, even when you get to DC and you go to the orientation, they hadn't really seen any other community college students. So it's great that, hopefully we can talk to people and get the word out that community college students need to apply.
Oh, absolutely.
They want them, they want those students.
Absolutely. I was going to introduce you. I saw Daisy pop in here. Hi, Daisy. Are you there?
Yeah, hello. How are you?
Good. Jordan, Daisy is my, what do I call you? My partner in crime?
Yeah, definitely.
She's one of our international students who's from Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil.
Nice.
Yeah. Hello, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you.
And so she helps with the International Conversations podcast. She works in her office. Yeah. She sort of does everything. I mean, she creates flyers. She does, I don't know, any sort of technology support that I need. I mean, she just like, it's awesome.
No, thank you.
Awesome
yeah, thank you.
So Daisy, Jordan is, well, I'll let him introduce himself, but he's one of our former students. And
nice.
I have him on to share about this study abroad program that he went on a few years back.
Oh, nice.
Jordan, you want to just introduce yourself and where you're at now and what you've done? And
yeah, I'm from Oakland. I went to Berkeley City College
nice.
3 years ago, and I studied Arabic with Professor Gay. After that, I did a study abroad in Egypt, and then I applied for the CLS program, and I was lucky enough to get in. But I think the program before in Egypt was probably one of the big reasons why I got in, and it was the professor who told me about that program. So if it hadn't been for her and it hadn't have been for, going on that program, I probably never would have got in. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and the CLS program stands for Critical Language Scholarship.
Right.
Oh.
So it's basically a all expenses paid program where you study intensively for, what is it, 8 weeks or 10 weeks, Jordan?
Yeah, it's just around 8 weeks, 8.5 weeks. They like you said, it's funded. They pay for your flight. They give you a little stipend, and then depending on which city and which language you choose, you stay with a host family. And so that's one of the best parts. They don't speak any English, and you're with them the whole time, and so it's pretty great.
Wow. So why did you choose to apply for the scholarship? And
because I wanted to learn Arabic, and after my experience in Egypt, I knew I wanted to do it again. I mean, the classes at college are great, but I don't think you can really compare to going somewhere and getting the full immersion, going somewhere where you're not going to get the chance to speak English, And so when I went to Egypt, I met a couple of students who went to a different four-year university, and they told me about CLS. So I came back, asked the professors at Berkeley about it, and they were like, wow, yeah, you're right. Like, there's this program and you should 100% apply. And so I just took a chance and applied, and I got in.
Nice.
Wow.
What do you think it was about your application that helped you to stand out above other students?
Well, it's funded by the State Department. And so I think it's not like these other State Department programs where they require you to finish it and then sort of commit to working for the government later in life. But in your application, it's a big deal. They want to know how you're going to, basically why they're going to fund you and spend their money on you to learn this language. And so really they want to know if you're going to be able to at some point use the knowledge that they gave you to help further, you know, certain government interests. If you're interested, they want to hear that, and they'd like to know if you have a concrete plan of how you're going to go from step one, learning the language, to applying it to a job in the future. So that's a big part of it. I kind of made it clear in the application some of the things that I was looking into. And then two, I think, like I said, the program before that, it just shows that like that I was actually interested and not just trying to like get a free trip somewhere. And so talking to a lot of the other students in the program, they said the same things. Like, you know, they all have like things that they really use the language for and career ambitions associated with it. So that's probably a big part of it.
Yeah, I as I'm reading through the applications, a big part of it too is like the foreign diplomacy, how you're going to be a good diplomat and, you know, keep the relationships between the United States and whichever country you're going to. Are you staying in contact with your host family or anybody from Egypt still?
My host mother, it was just her. She's a widow, but she's really great. She texts me in Arabic all the time. She was talking to me about COVID. She's like, Morocco's the best country in the world, and we've got COVID locked down, and yeah, but she's great. She introduced me and my host brother to so many people out there, and I mean, she stays in touch, and we try and stay in touch with her. So it's nice.
That's awesome. So give us some of the highlights of the program.
The highlights of the program. Well, you get there, and every weekend except for the first and last weekend, you can travel. And so as long as you can prove to the resident director that you know where you're going, you can catch the trains and the buses, and you can get there and back without getting lost, without really getting into any trouble, they'll approve it, and you can go wherever you want as long as you don't leave the country. And so, you know, it's such a great opportunity to like get out there and practice your languages. Like you're gonna go get scammed in the taxis, you're gonna pay too much, you're gonna get on the wrong buses and the wrong trains, but you're gonna meet so many people, and you know, you just get to experience like more than just being a tourist, you know, because you spend 4 hours a day studying every day. So you'll do, I mean, I guess it's different for each language, but for Arabic, you learn modern standard for 3 hours, and then you learn the dialect, the Moroccan dialect. And so obviously like the Moroccan dialect it's not as closely related. And so it's almost like you're learning two languages while you're out there. But when you're talking to someone on the street, they're not going to understand what you're saying sometimes in standard, like what you learn here in school. It's going to sound like we're speaking like we're Shakespeare in English, you know, like, so they might laugh. And so you get to practice both. Just the cultural crossovers are great. We were there during Eid, which is like a religious holiday. And so it's interesting because a lot of the students somehow, like there was a lot of vegetarians, right? But in Eid, the big thing is like they make sacrifices with goats. And so like in our apartment complex, we had like 4 or 5 families from the program. And so they all bought goats. And then like you all go down to the basement, and like we're all just like slaughtering these goats in the basement. And then like you do it, and then you have like the whole ceremony, and then later you chop it up with the family, and you make all these different dishes, and you get to try all this food, and it's so great. I mean, you just get to really get out of your comfort zone, which I mean, in my opinion is what it's all about. And so if you can go there and sort of like accept that it's all just going to be different, and you just got to embrace it all, then it's such a great experience. You know, the weather was great because I lived in Tangier, and so it's right on the tip of North Africa, and you can like see Spain from there. And so it's always great weather. There's such like it was so different from Egypt because there's all this influence from the Spanish influence. There's the French influence. So all the kids that you meet, they're fluent in English, French, Spanish, and Arabic. And so it's like you know, you come back to the States, it's like, wow, we only speak bad English. You know, we speak our English right. And then like, you know, all these people out there are just so educated in so many ways, and they can do so many things. And you know, it. I mean, there's so many great things
Yeah.
about the
Now
program.
Morocco is Casablanca, right?
Yeah, Casablanca, that's the capital. And so we went on a couple group trips. And so on the group trip, we went to Casablanca, but we only got to stay for, I think it was like a night. We stopped there overnight, and then we carried on to a different city. But yeah, Casablanca was really cool. It had
Yeah.
really cool nightlife. You know, you can go out on like a boat and like do
Wow.
like karaoke on the boat.
That's cool.
And, like yeah, it's
Mhm.
just a cool place. You get to see all the markets, and yeah, there's a lot to see.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, Gay took a group of students to Egypt in 2019, I believe it was.
The
Yeah,
program
2019.
that she went to was the same one that I went to the year before, and
Oh,
so
at Hidayat?
exactly the same one,
Oh,
exactly.
wow.
And so
Wow.
um, when I went, there was only 5 students, and so they were all women, and so like I couldn't share an apartment with anyone, so I got my own apartment, and so I'm living in Cairo, like in this little expat city right outside of Cairo. They gave me my own apartment. Rent was like $300 a month, super cheap. Um, the only thing about it was maybe they were more prepared when she got there, but they weren't really expecting like a complete beginner. And so like,
Mm.
all the other students in the program, I think minimum had been studying 2 full years at minimum. Some were converts, so they'd been
Mhm.
studying for 5 or 6 years and had moved to Egypt. And so like I learned a lot, but it was mostly just like listening because I couldn't truly
Mhm.
like keep up with everyone else in the program. But even still, it's like by the time I got back to the next semester at Berkeley, you know, I felt like I had knew like it was in there somewhere. Like I'd heard it, and like it made my progress so much faster. And then when I got to Morocco, I felt like, you know,
Mhm.
the program is great in and of itself, but you just make so much improvement. And so like no matter what language you're studying, it's a great program.
Now, did you apply for because I know there's different levels. There's like advanced beginning, intermediate, um,
I
or
applied
the,
for beginning to CLS, but no matter what you apply for, you take a proficiency test. So if you apply and then you make it to, there's like 2 rounds. So the first round, if you make it through that, they'll send you all the medical information. You have to go to a doctor and get checked out, and then you take your proficiency test. And so really no matter where you're at, you're going to take that test and they're going to slot you in somewhere, which is good because some people may not have much confidence and they'll be like, oh, I don't really know anything. Some people may be trying to like undersell it so that they can start at a lower level because it just
Mhm.
feels more comfortable that way. Um, and so I just applied for beginner because truly I felt like a beginner, and I was. And then I took the proficiency test and I got there and I started in, it was class 1. And so there was about 6 of us in our class. And then by the end, we took the proficiency test again when we got back, and we were all, you know, intermediate high, which is pretty good progress, you know, considering it
Yeah.
was only 8 weeks. I feel
Yeah.
like 8 weeks wasn't long enough. If we were there for a year, like some of the other students, because they did CLS and then they went and did Fulbright, or then they went and did like a different program and sort of combined it together. So they did 2 months with CLS, and then it would have been 12 months with this other program. But some of them got cut short by COVID, you know. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of ways you can really work it in your favor.
it makes sense. Daisy, do you have any questions for Jordan or anything you wanted to share?
Yeah, I just want to know about how do you feel about like not just like the language, but about the culture. Did you feel like the people they accept your culture? Did you get into the culture? How did you feel about the culture?
For myself personally, I was
Yeah.
super comfortable. You know, I mean, I felt comfortable because I've traveled a lot before, and like if I go to Morocco, they think I'm Moroccan. I look like I could be from out there. You know, like I grow my facial hair out a little bit, and they don't know where I'm from. And so, like at first, when I got there and I would speak, they'd be like, Like, where could you be from? But then by the end, they're like, oh, you must just be from a different Arab country. And they're like, you know, and so for me, it wasn't like I'd walk around and get like weird looks, or like I was able to speak to people and sort of like
Mhm.
sort of get comfortable with the culture. For Eid, it's great that you're with the host families because they really they would feel uncomfortable if you're not comfortable, you know. But I can't really say the same for everyone in the program because some
Mhm.
people found it really difficult. The
Mm.
whole cultural exchange was really tough for some people.
Mhm.
I think CLS does a good thing, or does a good job of trying to recruit or accept students that are from all different walks of life. So there was some gay students, there were trans
Mhm.
students. Uh, one of the cohort members had like green hair when he showed up, and he was wearing short shorts, and like he loved it. He was a musician, and somehow he was able to like link up with these band members that were out there, and he brought an instrument, and he was like traveling around like playing in like little bars and stuff. And so, I mean, that I was surprised because I didn't expect that. But Morocco, especially Tangier, is
Mhm.
really open because again, they see a lot of different people, and you get a lot of influence from Europe.
Wow.
So
Nice.
as culture, I think it was great. Yeah.
No, nice.
Now, I was curious to know, how do you feel the study abroad program has impacted your future, in terms of academically, even professionally? Maybe you can share what you're doing now, what you did after Berkeley City College and after the program, and why do you feel like others should do study abroad, and how it's impacted you?
I mean, study abroad, especially if you haven't been able to travel abroad, it just opens up it really just opens up your mind in a way because your perspective changes, or it can if you let it. And so for myself, I was studying international relations when I got to Morocco, and by the time I
Mm.
left, I realized I didn't want to study it anymore because it's it's one thing to like learn about all these concepts in school and in class and have a professor teaching it to you, but then I would think to myself, wow, like this is really how I want to learn about other people and other cultures. I want
Mm.
to travel and speak to people, and I want to go to a country and learn a language and see how they're living. You know, it was crazy to like get to Tangier and meet people who came from other parts of Morocco who'd be there trying to figure out a way to get to Spain in a way. And then you see all these Spanish people able to come to Spain, but they can't, or able to come to Morocco, but they can't get to Spain because of, all these kinds of red tape, like can't get a visa, can't prove they have enough money in their bank account, can't.
Mhm.
It just reminded me of like this is like the southern border. This is America and the southern border, and it's no different. And so I mean, I got into Columbia. I was lucky to get into Columbia, so that's where I go to school now. And I
Mhm.
switched to, I came back and I realized I wanted to study STEM, and so I started with neuroscience. But throughout high school and before, like I hadn't really taken any math, and so like it was such a struggle. And so I started with neuroscience, switched to applied math because I was like, okay, any STEM, I need to learn math to get good at any of these. And so by the time like now I'm in this calculus 4 class, and it's so hard. And I know that I don't want to take any more upper level math classes. And so I switched to astrophysics. I like physics, I like astronomy. And so that's what I'm going to finish out on. Um, as far as career, I don't know if you want to put it in the podcast or anything, but I was applying with the CIA for a while and having interviews with them and sort of
Mhm.
getting to talk to people about that process and understanding sort of I guess some of the positions that are out there and some of the things that they do, some of the things you can do. It was interesting to me. I mean, when you apply as a student for an agency like that, they're looking for
Mhm.
like really, really smart students with great grades who could be analysts, who can sit there and listen to a conversation all day and go and translate something. And
Mm.
maybe that's not exactly what I want to do. And so I'm still looking around. I think at some point, like foreign service is something I'd be interested in. I was in the military for a little while, and so I have some interest in that kind of stuff. But the study abroad, it changed my whole perspective again. Like I thought I knew what I wanted, and then I went and traveled again, and it's like, wow, I don't know what I want anymore. But it gives you confidence, it gives you comfortability. I like being able to do something and realize that I'm comfortable in a in a in a foreign situation, in a foreign environment. And so, that's what it did for me. And so I really appreciate it. And I think everyone should apply to CLS or any, study abroad. Go be scared somewhere, go be out of your comfort zone somewhere, and you'll learn a lot about yourself.
Oh yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing. Now, what branch of the military were you?
Navy.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Again, it was for a really short amount of time. Like the program that I went into during training, I got disqualified for having the trait for sickle cell, which is like I don't have sickle cell, but having the trait for it, the Navy is sort of like, if you're doing a job where you need to skydive, where you need to dive, where you need to be in where you need to do a lot of decompression training, they get worried if what if this happens? What if this happens? And so it was taking too long to get a waiver. And so I left the Navy, and that's how I found myself at Berkeley City College. I was like, okay, now I need to get educated again. So
yeah, well, congratulations, man. And what you're at Columbia, so how much longer do you have there?
Hopefully a year. Hopefully a year. I mean, it's a great school, and you meet a lot of cool people and a lot of interesting people. But even with that said, it's not like you hear Columbia or something like that, and it's like, whoa, Columbia, but it's no better necessarily than San Francisco State. It's no better than some state school somewhere. The education's not, how can it possibly be that much better? Like, it's more about how you make use of your time. If you have like a goal of where you're headed in the future, you're going to get there no matter where you go to school. And so I just got lucky several times. I got lucky getting into CLS. I got lucky getting good professors at Berkeley City College. I got lucky finding the Egyptian program, getting into Columbia. So, I mean, you never know where life's going to take you.
Yeah. It sounds like you're making the most of all the opportunities you've been given, which is all we can really do. I was talking to someone yesterday. They said, the student who gets accepted to Stanford, who doesn't take advantage of, or goes out there and really uses the most of that experience or puts themselves out there, a company might choose a student who went to, like you said, a San Francisco State or Fresno State, if they're out there, putting themselves out there and taking advantage of opportunities. But not to take away, Columbia is awesome. So hey, congratulations, man. Hey, Daisy, I was curious for you, when you moved to the United States, did you know any English, or how was it in terms of adjusting and learning English when you came here?
Yeah, I feel like the same. United States for me is like a study abroad. When I moved to here, I didn't speak any English. That is like 2 years ago. I never been to English class, so I'm learning by myself. I get into the culture, talking to people, go around. But I feel like Americans are really, really, really welcome people. So I never have any trouble here. So I think that is really, really good. So yes, but I didn't know any English when I moved to here.
That's
Your
amazing.
English is good. Considering 3 years, your English is good. I mean,
thank you.
Yeah, and self-study too. Wow.
Yeah, self-study. I never went to like English school in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah.
I would have expected that you were studying English, all before you came here.
Never. But talk to Americans, we learn in some way,
Yeah.
Right. Well, you can't get away from it. Once you're here, you're forced to learn it, right?
You need to. You have to. Yes.
Yeah. And that's probably how you felt too, Jordan, being in another country. Like, I better learn or I'm not going to get through this thing.
Going outside, playing charades all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, cool. Anything else you guys want to share, or, we can shut it down here if you want, or, Jordan, appreciate you being and It's cool to meet you, man.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, I think it's great that, you have this podcast, especially for this, again, like community college students need to, I mean, there's so many resources out there that when I was at community college, it's like right there in front of you, but I didn't even know it was there, like I hadn't had someone tell me like, hey, this program or that program, but it's all out there between like CLS, Fulbright, Rhodes, Marshall, all these programs. And so there's so much that, so much potential that community college students have that, we're sort of getting overlooked on.
Yeah.
And
right.
So, yeah. Access is what it's all about.
Yeah. And I do feel like community colleges are able to provide that support. We have smaller class sizes and, smaller student population. So even though we may have less resources, in terms of financial support or other things in the 4 years, staffing support and, what we can do, just people to people, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had some of the best support at Berkeley City College, more so than even at Columbia,
Oh,
so,
Can you say that again? Can you say that loud and proud?
In a lot of ways, Berkeley City College was better than Columbia, as far as support, personal interaction, professors, teaching. I mean, I remember Professor Lee in the political science department, Professor Gay, all the professors that I had, I had great experiences with. And like, I could be out here in Columbia and not meet or really get to know my professor at all. I could go to their office hours and still not get to meet them. And so, truly know who they are and have them know me. It's a lot harder. They may just look at you and you're one of 1,000, kids who's trying to get some recommendation letter squeezed out of them. And so that's what they're going to think when they see you. And so community college is absolutely amazing.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Hey, Daisy, what do you need from Jordan so that we can post this? We have a Facebook page too.
Oh, yeah.
And Instagram. I'm wondering if we can do a highlight or some sort of spotlight thing for Jordan.
Yeah, if he could send like maybe if you have like some pictures you'd like to share, like from Egypt, from Morocco, you can send to us if you want, so you can share like showing like a little bit about the culture. How was your experience there?
I don't have social media, but I can send some pictures over.
Yeah.
Should I send it to your email or to Drew's email?
Doesn't matter. It can be for Drew's email, and after he sends to me, it's fine. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
That's cool. And if you wanted to include like a short bio or it doesn't have to be long, like a couple sentences about yourself or something that we could include in the summary, that would be cool.
All right.
Yeah. And then we'll launch it out. So yeah, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and then this is actually broadcast through the KGPC local radio as well.
Yep.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, you got a good thing going on. That's great.
Yeah, it's we've had to adjust because before we would actually go to the radio station and be there live in person, and that'd be on campus. But obviously, with campuses closed, so we just had to adjust and record these through Zoom. But
I make these days.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Not bad. Well, cool, man. Appreciate you being here, Jordan. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Daisy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and nice to meet you, Jordan.
Yeah, nice to meet you. We'll talk soon.
Yeah,
All right,
bye-bye.
All
Bye-bye.
Bye.